Hey guys, Victor here again, coming at you with another deck profile. And today's focus is going to be on elemental heroes, which I definitely feel is long overdue since my last hero vid was a couple months ago. But unlike then, we now have a new addition to the deck in the form of Wake Up Your Elemental Hero. So without further ado, let's jump straight into the deck profile. So kicking off the hero lineup, we are of course going to be playing the two elemental hero Stratos, staple in every hero deck. Some people play 3, some people play 2. I'm still of the opinion that you only need the 2, but I can understand if you want to play 3. Then we're playing the 2 elemental hero Shadow Mist, because it's elemental hero Shadow Mist, along with the 1 elemental hero Liquid Soldier. And that's it for the elemental hero lineup. I'm not playing any Neos cards because as of right now, they're kind of bricks and you'd rather just have like combo pieces as often as possible. And I'm also not playing Blaze Man because I opted to go harder on the Vision Hero package instead for this time around. And speaking of the Vision Hero package, we are of course going to be playing the 3 Vision Hero Faris because it's Faris. In addition to Stratos, this is going to be your secondary play starter, and in some situations, this is actually a lot better than Stratos, just because it's able to fill your graveyard with multiple hero monsters, and then it gets you to Vyon, which in turn searches for your polys or foolishes, whatever else you may need. And in addition to Faris, we're playing the 1 Vision Hero Increase. Some people play 2, some people play 1. As of right now, I'm only playing 1 because it is a brick, but honestly, with all like the new cards, the Vision Heroes, even though they're still really good, aren't as necessary in order to actually win the game. And then we're also going to be playing the 2 Vision Hero Vyon because it's Vyon. It does literally everything. It foolishes and it adds a poly, which in this type of deck is huge, just because it literally provides you access to pretty much whatever kind of M board you want to make just by itself. And then we're also going to be playing 2 Destiny Hero Malicious, the 1 Destiny Hero Denier, and normally I don't play this, but I opted for the 1 Destiny Hero Plasma just because since kashtira is the best deck, we need some form of floodgate that isn't Darklot, and honestly I feel like Plasma just pretty much covers every single like issue that we may have. And I opted to run Plasma over cards like Dark Angel just because I don't know what it is, but I just feel like when players go for Dark Angel, it's just being way too greedy and they're not respecting cards like Nibiru or Lava Golem, which are, in case you didn't notice, really heavily played in the current format. And while Plasma does get punished by that too, at least when you end on Plasma, you typically still have your Enforcer's effect to destroy, which is available to you, right? Which means that even if you get nibbed, your Enforcer will still come back next turn, as opposed to the current combo right now, which is where you use Enforcer to destroy your Wake Up Your Elemental Hero, and then if your opponent decides to nib there, you lose your Enforcer, you lose your Wake Up Hero, and sure, you'll give them a Dark Angel, but if they decided to nib you there, that means they probably have an effective way to deal with the Dark Angel. And if they don't, they'll just hold the nib for the Dark Angel anyways, so I really just don't see a point. Like, sure, you'll be able to win like a game 1 or whatever, but I don't know. It's just not worth the risk, in my opinion. And with that, that's the monster lineup, and now we can move on to the spell portion of the deck. When it comes to the spells, we are of course going to be playing 3 Hero Lives. There's no reason not to, especially since we don't care about paying half our life points. We will gladly do that just to be able to get our engine started. And even if it gets like negated, it's fine because you typically have like a bunch of other cards that you can start your engine with. So this card's like an excellent bait card, and a lot of people don't know this, but typically you don't want to ash the Hero Lives. You want to ash whatever comes off the Hero Lives, whether it's Stratos or especially if it's Shadow Mist. Because if you ash the Hero Lives, you're pretty much giving away that you're bad at this game or like a scrub because you've pretty much allowed your opponent to activate a second one if they already have it, or in the case of like Shadow Mist, right? If you just wait for the Shadow Mist to come out and you ash that, then that's it for Shadow Mist. They don't get a mass change for the rest of this turn, and they also cannot add a monster for the rest of the turn. So yeah, it's just better just to ash whatever comes off the Hero Lives instead of the actual Hero Lives most of the time. But hey, you never know. Some people will just ash it just because they see special summon from deck. Cool. And then after that, you have 3 Fusion Destiny. It's Fusion Destiny, and as I stated earlier, Droll Logbird is becoming a lot more popular, so this card is actually becoming a lot more important because it allows you to play through cards like Droll Logbird. And even without Droll, being able to end your turn or like end your combo with an activation of Fusion Destiny to special summon Destiny Hero Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer, for example, is honestly pretty huge because it means you don't have to waste your other resources to actually make it. And after that, we're going to be playing 3 Book of Eclipse. I opted for 3 Book of Eclipse over 3 Book of Moon just because I like the potential to flip more than one monster. Sure, it's weak to Ash, but honestly, that's more than fine. Because of the fact that it's able to bait a card out being the Ash Blossom, which means that our actual combo pieces will be able to resolve way more often than normal. And then after that, we're also playing 3 triple tactics talents. What can I say? This is a very hand trap heavy format, and when it becomes a heavy hand trap format, triple tactics talents becomes incredibly powerful because it's able to rip your opponent's card or rip an opponent's card out of their hand and pretty much give you free knowledge to be able to make the best board possible. And if you decide to play Dark Angel in the main, this card's great because it helps you get rid of whatever your opponent may actually have to deal with the Dark Angel. So I definitely feel it's better at 3, and I'm not playing Triple Tactics Thrust, mainly because, as stated earlier, since Droll is more popular, Thrust literally becomes useless because it's forced to set a card, and you're not going to be able to use that for the rest of this turn unless it's like a trap, but we're not maining any traps. So yeah, I'd just rather go straight with the 3 Triple Tactics talents and just be done with it. And then after that, we're going to be playing 3 Super Polymerization. Because it's Super Poly, that means we are playing Super Poly targets, and in addition to those Super Poly targets, we're playing a couple Omni Heroes, which means our effectiveness with this card is going to be a lot higher than normal. So yeah, and this is especially great, like if you're playing against Kashtira, because if they see that you have Super Poly targets in your extra deck, they're probably going to rip one of them, usually the Mud Dragon, if they decide to go like heavy into their combo. But even if they don't and they just end on a Rise Heart, it's fine because we go a Hero Lives, and then we can special summon either Stratos or Shadow Mist depending on what the situation calls for, activate their effects, and then we can just Super Poly away their a Rise Heart. And since they can't respond, that means they can't Lance it or anything either, and yeah, we're pretty much just good to go from there. And then after that, I'm still a big fan of EN Shuffle, and I think it's going to become really strong once the Elemental Hero Flame Wingman retrain arrives, as well as the Terra Firma Spell and Trap Negate counter trap. Just because the Terra Firma Spell and Trap Negate, all it has to do is banish one face-up Elemental Hero monster, which this deck pretty much always ends on. And the Flame Wingman retrain is really good because it allows us to play like the vanilla Neos or Spirit of Neos as well, which in turn just opens up so many more possibilities for the deck. And even as of right now, since I'm not doing the wake up combo where you have to pop it to get like a Shadow Mist or whatever off the special summon, this card's really good because it allows us to still get access to the Shadow Mist special summon for Mass Change. And speaking of Mass Change, we're only playing 2. I decided to go down to 2 just because it's really not that impactful this format, especially against Kashtira, which is the best deck of the format. If you're playing against Kashtira, they actually prefer if you banish their spells and traps and their monsters because, you know, they tend to float. So yeah, this card just, even though it's still good and Dark Claw can win you games sometimes, against Kashtira, you're gonna pretty much just like auto lose. It's a lot like Fluounderies, right? Where yeah, Dark Claw is good and you can rip a card out of their hand pretty much all the time, but it doesn't really matter what you rip out because they will be getting it back most of the time. So just 2 Mass Changes is fine. I don't really see the need for the 3rd one as of right now, but if Dark Claw becomes more important, then yeah, of course the 3rd one will become more important too. And then we're also going to be playing 2 Polymerizations because this deck is mainly fusion based. So I just wanted to be able to take advantage of this as often as possible, especially because we tend to burn through all our resources turn 1, even with Wonder Driver. So just having the 2nd Poly is great insurance to ensure that you can actually combo off past turn 1, you know? And then we play the 1 Miracle Fusion because it's Miracle. The 1 Foolish Burial, which pretty much acts as another Rhoda or an E emergency call because it sends any monster from your deck to the grave. This was really good when I was still playing Crosskeeper, but even without it, it's still really good because if your hand is like fairly weak, you can just send like a Shadow Mist or a Malicious and then just combo off from there. And then we're also going to be playing the 1 Rhoda because it's Rhoda, searches any level 4 warrior. Sometimes you want to search Stratos, sometimes you want to search Vyon. Sometimes you don't even want to get those. Sometimes you just want to get like a Liquid Soldier to Poly and draw 2. But whatever you get off of this is still going to be able to help you with your game plan. And then for the final spell, we're just playing 1 Call by the Grave. In addition to talents, since this is a hand trap heavy format and heroes do not do well in hand trap heavy formats, you're pretty much required to play this. But yeah, with that, that's the main deck. It's 40 cards like always, and now we can finally move on to the extra deck. So we're still going to be playing 2 Master Hero Dark Claws in the extra deck, even though it's not the greatest card right now. Especially because Kashtira just simply does not care about this card. But there are some matchups that are still really good, such as Traptrix, for example. But yeah, I've never really felt the need to bump this up or lower it down. I think 2 is perfect. But I could definitely see like an argument for lowering this down and putting in maybe like an absolute zero or a master hero blast, both of which I don't play just because, um, yeah, there are a lot of trap decks, but they're probably going to get floodgated before they become effective. So I just stick with the Dark Laws. And then we're still going to be playing the one elemental hero Sunrise because being able to search Miracle Fusion for your turn 2 play in order to try and OTK your opponent is really helpful. And then it also boosts all your monsters too, which in a deck with Super Poly is really useful, especially if you get like Mudragon of the Swamp, for example, because you can change Mudragon to something, to another attribute that you don't have. And then not only does Mudragon give you a boost because of the Sunrise, the Mudragon will also be boosted itself. So yeah, it'll pretty much always be 300 minimum. So yeah, just simple things like that can go a long way in helping you OTK your opponent. Then we also play the one elemental hero Escuridao, which yeah, it's a fantastic card. This is going to be the only Omni hero that I'm playing. Yes, you heard that right. So that means no Shining, no Nova Master, no Gaia, no Great Tornado, and most importantly, no Absolute Zero, just because even though they're still really good for what I'm trying to accomplish, they're really not that needed. Escuridao is the only one that is actually needed because this is going to be the main thing that you summon off of Super Poly if you're playing against Kashtira and they pretty much just go into a Rise Heart Turbo, right? And yeah, this card's a 2500 beat stick typically, and if you get an elemental hero into the grave, it becomes 26, and just keeps going, adding on and on and on. And just being a Super Poly target is huge because it means their lances are ineffective, and being able to out a monster like a Rise Heart is just, it's huge because this deck cannot play under Macrocosmos. Like, it's one of this deck's biggest weaknesses, even though Darklaw is our main boss monster, if you can like believe that. And then after that, since we're not playing Absolute Zero, I decided to go with Wake Up Your Elemental Hero because unlike most people, I'm using this card to pretty much OTK my opponent on my turn or my second turn because it gains 300 attack for every material used, and then for every fusion material used, this card can make an additional attack on a monster. So if you banish like 2 hero fusions, it gets 2 extra, or it becomes 2 attacks. And then you add that to its effect to gain all those attacks, and it's typically going to be really strong, like around 6k. And then it also, in addition to that, has a Flame Wingman effect where you destroy a monster that this card battles, and then you inflict that much damage to your opponent. So this card makes OTKs very, very easy, and I understand why people want to, like, use Enforcer to destroy this, especially summon cards from the deck, but I don't know. I just think it's a waste, and I'd much rather just use it for like the OTK potential, if that makes sense. And then we're still playing Destiny Hero Fusions too, so one Destiny Hero Dangerous for when your hands are pretty weak, but you still want to end on Darklaw. Dangerous is your guy. And we're also playing the Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer because it's Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer. And then for Super Poly targets, we're playing the one Garura, the one Mudragon, and the one Dragostapelia. They do still come up, especially with Branded being somewhat popular, and Labyrinth and Kashtira is still abusing like dark monsters. So yeah, there's no reason not to play them. And then something that you don't really see is one Guardian Chimera. This is actually one of the main reasons why I opted to play 2 Polymerizations. And Guardian Chimera is actually kind of huge in the momentum that it can bring. Just being able to destroy cards, especially against like traptrix, for example, right? Or even like Labyrinth or Kashtira, whatever. The amount of like versatility, the draw power, the destruction, the untargetableness, if you fuse it with Polymerization, yeah, it's just invaluable to what it can offer. But I'm still testing it out, and honestly, I don't really have a very strong opinion. But that's one of the things I like about this, is that you can try different things out, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Yeah. So if you want to cut this, it's fine. You can just play the Ab-Zero that I cut earlier. But I really wanted to try this out in this deck. And then, since Droll is popular, we're going to be playing one Time Thief Redoer. If you get Drolled in this deck, your turn literally just halts to a stop. So we're going to be playing one rank 4 Xyz in the form of Redoer to pretty much try and remedy that and ensure that we can actually try and still play on our opponent's turn. And then after that, you play 2 extra hero Cross Crusader along with the 1 extra hero Wonder Driver to pretty much just round it out. I don't think you need Dread Decimator because this deck already does so much damage without it. It's one of the main reasons why we also don't play Honest Neos. And with that, That's the deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. See ya!